Any of you who grew up playing the game of basketball as a child know that the further along you progressed in the game, the more apparent it got that size was one of the bare minimum barriers to entry to continue competing at a high level. For a normal person, you're viewed as pretty tall if you're 6 feet tall, yet in the basketball world, a 6 foot tall point guard is viewed as undersized, and teams proceed with caution when it comes to evaluating their talent. Yet for today's video, we're going to be discussing a 5 foot 8 inch tall Yuki Kawamura of the Memphis Grizzlies and how he's carving out a success story for himself at the highest level despite the odds being completely against him. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. Throughout NBA history, I'm not here to say that it's been impossible to succeed if you're not at minimum 6 feet tall. It's just been proven to be incredibly difficult, with the amount of success stories being very few and far between. The shortest player in NBA history, Muggsy Bogues for example, carved out a long 14-year career for himself, where he even managed to be a double-digit scorer for a few seasons. Earl Boykins, the second shortest player in NBA history who stood 5'5", was one of the league's best sixth men in the NBA for a few seasons in the mid-2000s. Nate Robinson's career was very similar as an uber-athletic dunk contest champion who provided a spark plug off the bench for years despite only being 5'9", so needless to say, even though we don't see it very often, it's not impossible, and in the case of Yuki Kawamura, he may be viewed mostly as a fad or a gimmick right now in the eyes of fans, but I'm here to present the fact that he has serious game and could absolutely provide real impact at this level. To do that, let's go over how he even got here in the first place. Kawamura grew up idolizing fellow Japanese star point guard Yuki Togashi, who similarly dominated the game in Japan despite being just 5'6", so very early on Kawamura had the self-awareness to recognize what he needed to model his own game after in order to realistically succeed moving forward. Togashi had captained the Japanese national team for years, and Kawamura grew up thinking he could only ever dream of reaching a level like that, especially with the fact that Japan didn't really have a consistent history of making it into the Olympics or the World Cups, but little did he know that he was destined for something big in store for him. At the high school level, Kawamura became a bit of a phenom, dominating for Fukuoka Daiichi High School and leading the school to back-to-back All-Japan High School Championship titles. At this time, he was also one of the leaders of Japan's youth international teams, and then when he was 18, he officially joined the professional rank while still in high school during his senior year, which at the time was a pretty huge achievement. He signed with Sanen Neo Phoenix of the Japanese B-League, which I know probably sounds like a minor league level based on it being called B-League, but I assure you that is what Japan's top-tier basketball league is called, and when he made his debut with the team, he officially became the youngest player in B-League history. Then, moments later in that same game, he became the youngest player in league history to score a basket. His career at the professional level actually also got started on a part-time basis because he maintained his amateur status by joining the squad as a quote-unquote special designated player, which is something every team is allowed to have, so he balanced his time by also attending Tokai University and playing for that school's basketball team as well. He also changed teams at the professional level, joining the Yokohama B Corsairs after that first season, where he steadily improved, earned a bigger role every year progressing, and developed quite well. It got to the point where his dreams of representing Japan and guiding them on the world stage legitimately became within reach, but a major decision was needed to be made. He needed to commit himself to being a professional basketball player full-time first, and that's exactly what he ended up doing in his third year, as he officially dropped his amateur status, dropped out of Tokai University, and became a full-time pro. In the moment, it was probably difficult to abandon his studies, but it ended up being the best thing that could have happened to him because that very season, he dominated the B-League with all of that weight off his shoulders, and he was named the B-League MVP that very season in 2023. The accomplishments that happened that season did not end there though, as he got called up to the Japan senior national team for World Cup qualifiers for the first time that year, and he carved out a meaningful role in the rotation and then went on to represent Japan at the 2023 FIBA World Cup. This is where Kawamura's emergence went from the local level in Japan to the global level, because as I mentioned before, Japan didn't necessarily have much of a successful history qualifying for or even making much of an impact at events like the FIBA World Cup or the Olympics. They may not have even advanced past the group stage of this event either, but Kawamura did make a name for himself in their matchup against Finland, where he led an 18-point comeback against the squad led by NBA star Lauri Markkanen, while also scoring 15 points in the fourth quarter alone of that game, leading Japan over a European side for the first time in program history. That was really the moment where he proved he could compete on any stage against any level of competition, despite being the smallest player on the court. That leads us to the current year 2024, where he was once again representing Japan at the Olympics this time, and surprise surprise, he was once again making history. Yuki Kawamura was legitimately one of the best players in the whole tournament, averaging about 20 points and 8 assists per game in the group stage, while shooting 41% from 3, and in their game against France, which is a squad stacked with NBA talent like Victor Wembanyama and Rudy Gobert, they took them to overtime, and Kawamura himself put up 29 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in that contest. That made him the third player in Olympic history to ever have a game with at least 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, joining Kevin Durant and Luol Deng, which is pretty damn good company to be a part of at 5'8". Kawamura's journey really is a testament to the fact that the game of basketball is growing rapidly worldwide, because he wasn't on any NBA radars before a year ago, but he earned the recognition that he's gotten with his play. The Memphis Grizzlies were so impressed with him this year at the Olympics that they brought him in on originally just a training camp deal for this season to give him a shot, but again, his play on the court in those practices and preseason games allowed him to stick around as the team chose to convert his training camp deal to a two-way contract for the year, and now he's dressing almost every night for the Grizzlies. I'm not here to say that Kawamura is an NBA star in the making, nor am I saying that he's a lock to end up getting big minutes down the line, but at every stop of his career, he's been written off, and every time he has overcome the odds. He's a lightning-fast point guard with the ball in his hands, and can legitimately create an elite level of separation off the dribble. He has tremendous court vision, finding open teammates for easy looks, and his three-point shot is no joke, having proven it at high volume at the Olympics, where he knocked down 41% of his looks on 11 attempts per game. He's basically only getting garbage time minutes right now at the start of his NBA career with the Grizzlies, but even in those minutes, he's shown his knack for creating separation, and it helps that he's a fan favorite easily that everyone is already rooting for every time he checks in. I'll end things off on a quote from Kawamura himself, as he once said in an interview, quote, "I want to do what only a small player can do, aiming for aggressive and speedy play. Hopes and dreams, not only for small children and basketball fans, but also for many people. I hope I can reach my goals." His aggression and speed always shines through when he's on the court, and if he keeps it up, there's no reason he shouldn't be able to reach those goals, no matter how lofty. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about Yuki Kawamura and his future in the NBA. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.